ጤና ይስጥልኝ ውድ የማገር መገናኛ ቤተሰቦችና እንግዶች ተከታታዮች በሙሉ እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ። በዛሬው ዕለት ሰሞኑን በተከታታይ እያደረግን ያለውን እኔም ፋኖ ነኝ በሚል ርዕስ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ የአማራው ንቅናቄ እየተቀጣጠለ መሆኑን አሁንም ይዘን እንቀርባለን። በዛሬው ዕለት ከሜልበርን አውስትራሊያ ዘነበች ተበጀ የተሰኘች ወጣት ከኛ ጋር ትገኛለች። እንግዲህ ይሄ የወጣቱ ክፍል ለዚህ ንቅናቄ ትልቅ እሳትና ትንታግም ሆኖ እየተንቀሳቀሰ መሆኑን እየተመለከትን ነው። ዘነበች እንኳን ወደ ማገር ሚዲያ በደህና መጣሽ።
በጣም አመሰግናለሁ። እናንተም እድሉን ስለተሰጣችሁን ፕላትፎርምን ስለተሰጣችሁን በአማራ ዩኒቲ ሜልበርን ስምና personally I would like to thank you።
እናመሰግናለን በጣም። እንግዲህ በእንግሊዝኛ ነው እህታችን ዘነበች አብዛኛውን ነገር የምትናገረው። just feel free to do that። በአሁኑ ጊዜ እኔም እቀላቅላለሁ። when we say I am Fano, what do we really mean by that? Is Zanevich really Fano? Can you call yourself I am Fano? What does it mean?
I think just to of course I am. Fano, simply to put it down, is patriotism. So Fano is literally means a person who love their country and their people. I will do anything for my people and for my country. I will. So of course I am. But I think one of the things that I really want to highlight before we go further when it comes to Fano, especially to those my generation, Fano is not just recently that happened. When we go back further historically, Fano has served the country for many years. And to be more specific, in 1936, during the Italy and the Ethiopian War, Fano has gone bush to bush, battle on the battlefield, trying to protect the country and its people from a colonizer. It's not something that recently started again. Fano has been there serving the country for so many years. And just recently, as we've seen during the conflict that started, Abiy, they supported Abiy. They were at the front line and said Abiy, the federal government has, they should put military those on payroll. Instead, Fano hasn't backed up. Fano didn't wait on the edge. They went with the government again when it's necessarily to stand for the people and for its country. I think that's the recent thing we saw. And after defining the brief history of Fano, I think one of the things one of my favorite songs that, again, when we talk historically, Kasa Tesema sang the song saying like, "Yowand Lijinat Hataki Bagamed Lichina Moranji Aikabrom Zemed." It's a metaphor. It defines who Fano is. Fano, they go beyond and over without fear, without putting themselves first. They will go and die for their people and for their country. And we have seen, as I said earlier, recently, where as young as 18, that they have gone on the battlefield, trying to protect it's their country pretty much. So yeah, and after defining all of these, who wouldn't say I'm Fano? Of course I am. So yeah.
That's great to hear that. all Amharas are Fano, all Fanos are Amharas. I mean, they are dedicated their life just to protect the people, as you have said, and protect the country. Not, as you know, it's not actually for Abiy. Now, when we come to the movement of Fano all over the world, it is very hot at this time. What is the purpose and goal of I Am Fano movement all over the world?
I think it's such a refreshing to see, that fandom movement. I think, like, just to put it in a simplest dot point, I would say, I think it's we acknowledge and recognize the struggle that Fano is going through in on the ground back home, and another thing is that as I said, on the ground, trying to protect their people and the country. We have seen it again recently. They have sacrificed, and as I said, just young people dying on the ground to protect the people. And then I think that another point is that we have seen it time to time that, whether it's Abiy government, whether it's a regional government, they're literally doing nothing. Instead, they intimidate our people. I mean, fun on the those who are trying to protect the country and the people. Their border, more importantly, there has been a mass arrest, whether you're activist, whether you're a singer, whether you're a politician. And there has been, killing. That's recently we have seen it as well. It just has no ending. So I think we are literally, we can see, we are aware those things are happening, and we stand with them. We stand with Fano. Another key point is digital welfare. We have seen whether it's International Amnesty and other group, that the internally and external, the bad views that they have on Fano, that we will continue to fight and stand with Fano and to correct those distortion. I think the global movement has started, but we have far to go, I believe, but this is the status. But those are I would say the main key point that ለመጀመር የተነሳሳው ማለት ነው።
Wonderful. Now, as you have said, Fano is patriotism. The young generation is very patriot for the country, and the young generation in the foreign countries where we are have to do something. What kind of support? After, it doesn't mean just going for the rally and go back home and sit down. What else do you think this young generation, all the people in the foreign land, the diaspora, what else do you think they can do or we can do?
Look, especially my generation, I think we have seen at time to time a lot especially on social media, those who eat on the same table, those who intermarried with us, those who party with us. The disrespect has gone over and beyond. And I think I would definitely say one of the things to kind of dismiss, just remove yourself from those type, I would say. But I think key point is that politics and economy goes head to head. And one of the things that, as my generation, we really need to learn to invest in our people, in our land. I think one of the crucial point I would say is to focus empowering our people economically. I think that's I would say probably the key point, and also to work very closely with whether it's International Amnesty, whether Human Rights Watch, other global personnel, like to kind of focus and to really closely work. We need to correct a lot of things. There is a lot of views that has been distorted, as I said. And I think those are the two main things I would say at this stage.
And thank you, Zenovich. Let me add one more question. At this time, the Ethiopian government, the federal and the regional, as you have said, is chasing Fano. They are just arresting them, killing them, and there is even a 3 years old boy, 3 years old boy who was kidnapped and arrested. I would say arrested for 6 days. This image, and there is another 13 years old boy who was killed because their father are Fanos. So what do you feel as a young girl? What do you feel about it? What do you say about it to the fellow young generation?
Mm. To be honest, it's so extremely sad in so many level, and it's just, and I'm starting to think, I mean, the Amara struggle, the Amara genocide, it's not, I believe it's not something that recently started. It being, we have evidence. It has been happening for 30 years, especially, in Oromia region. So I'm starting to think they are continuing to do what they were doing for the 30 years. But at this time, I would say there is more, media attention. I would say there is, you can get information per second. And I'm just thinking that is not something that happened recently. I think this boy is an example that literally how outrageous it is that that means for the past 30 years, same thing has been happening, just they haven't been documented. Probably they haven't got the attention or media attention. So that boy is just literally a representation of that there has been more similar story or worse. So it really, it does break my heart, and it shows how privileged we are to be in diaspora, because we have the voice. We can be a voice for those voiceless, and this is gonna go somewhere to on history book, and we will educate our next generation to stand for themselves and to continue put an end to this nonsense, whether it's a government, regional government that doing.
Thank you, Zanovich. Your understanding and response is very motivational for all of us. Let me add one more question related with this one. In Ethiopia, the government was arresting and still arresting the journalists, media outlet workers, writers, and so on. Uh, those people were working. They were not fighting, the government with any kind of gun, but they were informing the citizens, giving information to the people, and holding leaders accountable, which is very civilized way of uh, struggle and making government to hear the people. Even they were, if the government was wise enough, they were just helping that government. So how do you see that?
Um, it's very, very, very interesting. He's doing what exactly TPLF was doing. It's very interesting because the timeline, the way he deceived people, the way he um, charm people, and all of a sudden is just doing exactly what TPLF was doing, and he just keep adding more suffering and more pain to our people. And anybody that is a voice for Amara, anybody that is trying to economically, socially, politically to empower our people are the enemy. He will continue to throw them in jail. He will continue anybody who's a sharp that is going to stand for our people. He is more likely to do it, and I don't have any hope when it comes to this government. I've never did from the beginning, anyways, um, because you can't really. What he did was he didn't heal. He didn't answer those questions that የማንነት ጥያቄ ለምሳሌ and what's been happening for the past 30 years plus in Oromia region. Literally that continued. We have seen during Hatalu what they did to our people. Everything that the government does, everything that other group do is just, we are the bad ones. Our people need to get arrested. Our people need to be intimidated. Our people need to be thrown into jail. It's extremely frustrating. And I feel like that he used people. He literally, as I said, we are very patriotism. We love our country, and Fano has gone beyond and without fear to help this government. And at the end of the day, this is what we don't deserve this at all. That's the way he's doing it. It's really extremely frustrating. And I think that you can't sustain power doing the same thing what people were so against. And I don't know for how long he's going to sustain that power, but eventually you can't really fool everybody, all the time. That's not how it works. So he will go down in history just like the rest does, Derg or TPLF, because after all, he was a part of TPLF and he knows the game by heart. And I don't know what his next move are, but the arresting and the killing and all of that, I just don't see it after, especially what our people have done. It is devastating, to be honest. So
Thank you, Zenovich. I know when you say our people, you mean Amharas, because this government
of
is
course,
marching against Amhara. So let me come back to the movement of I Am Fano all over the world. So Australia is a part of the world, if I'm not wrong. So
that's correct.
what is going on there? In Melbourne, especially. You are from Melbourne, Australia. I think you belong to the Amhara Association there. Can you tell me what is your position there and what you guys are doing at this time?
So I am from an organization called Amara Unity Melbourne. I am their chairwoman, acting chairwoman, sorry, and also I'm a head of research. So at the moment, currently, the movement and the way we're organizing the protest, it's going really, really well. It's about time to see everyone coming together from other states as well. Unfortunately, we were part of the other state to do on the 18th the protest, but due to unexpected death in our community members, we have postponed. So we're holding it on the 25th, which is next Saturday.
That's great. So the spirit is high in Australia. Uh, two of the states are going to have it on the 18th. Now Melbourne is going to have it on the 25th. So I can see the spirit is moving around. I am fan of spirit. I mean, it's great to have you guys working like that, especially a young lady like you chairing the Amhara unity, their union or the association, in other words, and organizing this kind of movement. You are inspiring me, and I believe you are inspiring others too. Now, what you guys going to do? Where can you tell us the location and what time? If you guys
Sure.
decided that.
Sure. Yes, we have decided it's going to be on the 25th of June. So in Australian That means next Saturday. So it will be 1 p.m. Sharp, and it will be held at the Melbourne Federation Square in Melbourne. So yeah, that's the venue. So we'll be meeting there.
That's great. I just want to give you time. Just feel free to use the time. What is your message to all Amharas all over the world and all through Ethiopians to stand by the Amhara people who are under suffering at this time? At the same time, you can include Abiy Ahmed if you have something to tell him.
Yeah. Look, my message will be, I think one of the things for my generation especially, that whether we have seen a lot of in social media, the disrespect, the way they see us as we are just, yeah, it's just, it's really bizarre. And I know that the battle on social media is extremely exhausting at times. I just want to say to people, my generation, that you're loved, you're highly valued, and this is just going to be, it will pass. And I think one of a few key points that I would like to say is like, people, the Amara, my people, like globally, is that one, I cannot stress enough how important it is for us to learn and to work very closely together. And I think another key point I want to address is that we need to give deaf ear to those who are trying to divide us. And then I think it's important to do that because they will drain our resource and energy. As I said, we must also work very closely. I mean, very closely with an organization such as, Human Rights Watch, Human Rights, International Amnesty, any other group globally, internal and external. We really need to work closely because we have seen several times for the past 3 years the way they control a certain narrative to fit only one group. So we really need to be out there and address our side, have input of our piece of a situation, what's happening in the country, and I think it doesn't mean attack. Okay, politics means learning, learning how to live with our enemy, learning how to get like, or how to use a strategy to protect ourselves. And I think that leads me to the point, sometimes it's okay to work with our enemy. It's okay to and I think that is the point mainly that I was going to lead is into having an ally, whether it's internal or external. It's so important. And I think there are more than 80 something group within the country. And I think it's so important. And I think that's one of the biggest thing I would say Amara is lack ally. It doesn't really has to be diaspora, to be honest, but I think within the country, it's so important for Ethiopia and for the Amara people within Ethiopia to have an ally. I think, yeah, and I think I did say this, but I will just add again, is that, as I said earlier, politics and economy goes head to head. We have seen it historically that whether during not Haile Selassie, during Derg and TPLF, our people have been wicked. They weaken them by, we have been behind economically, socially, and politically. So that is still continued to this day. We really need to learn to empower our people in those aspects. And as I said earlier, we really need to empower our people through economy, and that means investing in our country, in Amara region, building, whether it's a school, whether it's a hospital, whatever it is, we really need to work towards those and focus on those. Kind of establishing and having some sort of foundation for the future moving forward. I think I would say those are probably a brief message globally. As for Abiy, um, he needs to stop with the deception, pretty much. As I said earlier, um, he knows by heart the game. As I said, he was part of TPLF, whether you like it or not, whether how much you want to, dust it off. He was, I don't know for how long, but he was, and he knows the game by heart, and he's doing exactly what TPLF have been doing, torturing our people, removing them from their land. For example, trying to assimilate them. We have seen it through TPLF, and this government hasn't done anything. And again, our Amara people have been tortured because of their identity in Oromia region, and we haven't seen any change. And he just came and added this just same pain, or worse, I would say, and the suffering is just continues. And you can't continue the same game over and over. Eventually, he's just one of them, and I just hope that he will realize and make the change. If not, it's just, I think that was one of the things. And we have in Africa, well, whether in Ethiopia, we have the where you can elect a leader, and they end up either being corrupted or working for one of the group that they belong to. I think we have that. That is a major issue that we have, and I don't know how he's going to spin the table, but it doesn't look really good for him at this stage. But our people are already waking more than ever before, and we are going to continue to work harder and to come together and continue to protect ourselves and our land as well. So yeah, and I think that's just he needs to stop with the deception. That's all.
ታንክ ዩ ሶ ማች ዘነበች። ያው ሁላችንም በደንብ ሰምተናታል። የአማራው ህዝብ አንድ መሆንና መነሳት ከምንም ነገር አይገድበውም፣ አያቆመውም። የፖለቲካና የኢኮኖሚ ኃይላችንን የማጠናከሩ ሂደት አብይ አይቆይም። እንግዲህ በዚህ ሁኔታ ላይ ህዝባችን አንድ ላይ ከተነሳ የመቆየቱ እድል በጣም ጠባብ ነው። ህዝባችንን እርስ በርስ ለማባላት እናም በሰሞኑ የፓርላማ ንግግር የሚያፋጅ መልእክት ሁሉ ሲልክ ነበር እና የአማራው ህዝብ በመላው ዓለም በዚህ ሁኔታ መነሳት እንዳለበት እህታችን ዘነበች መልእክቱን እያስተላለፈች ነው ያለችው። እና አውስትራሊያ ሜልበርን ቅዳሜ 1 p.m. ሁላችሁም ለሰልፉ እንድትወጡ ጥሪውን እኔም ደግሜ ማስተላለፍ ፈልጋለሁ። I guess Federation Square, is that right, ዘነበች?
Yeah, it's Federation Square. Yeah,
ፌዴሬሽን ስኩዌር ላይ በሜልበርን አውስትራሊያ ቅዳሜ ጁን 25 ትልቅ ጥሪ ተላልፏል። ብዙ ሰው እንደማይቀር እናምናለን፣ ተስፋም እናደርጋለን። እንደዚች አይነት ወጣት መሪም ስላፈራችሁ በእውነት ታኮሩናላችሁ። አንድ የመጨረሻ ጥያቄ ባጭሩ ልጠይቅ። አሁን በአውስትራሊያ የፌዴሬሽን እንዳላችሁ የአውስትራሊያ አማራ ማህበራት ፌዴሬሽን እንዳለ ሰምቻለሁ። ያ ፌዴሬሽን እንግዲህ እየተጠናከረ እንደሚሄድ ተስፋ አለኝ። እዚህ በአሜሪካን ሀገር ፋና የሚባል ፌዴሬሽን አለን። ፌዴሬሽን ኦፍ አማራስ ኢን ኖርዝ አሜሪካ። በካናዳ ካሳ የሚባል እንደዚሁ አሊያንስ አለ። እንግዲህ አሁን የአውስትራሊያ ሲጨመር 3 በጣም ጠንካራ የሆኑ ፌዴሬሽኖች በአንድ ላይ ተገናኝተው ዓለም አቀፉን የአማራ ንቅናቄ የሚያስኬድ ጠንካራ ግንባር እንደሚሆኑ አምናለሁ። በመጨረሻ ላይ በአማርኛ የምታስተላልፊው መልእክት ካለ ለአንቺ ልስጥና እንጨርሳለን።
And I think I think የተለያዩ አይዲያዎችን ሳልንተባተብ እንትን ያልኩትኝ በእንግሊዘኛ አይዲያ ሞ ስለ እንትን የሚለኝ ማለት ነው እና I think በሌላ ቀን hopefully በአማርኛ እናወራለን። ግን በጣም ነው የማመሰግነው and I really look forward to see people at the protest, and for those who's coming, I'm actually looking forward to meet young people and hopefully, and I think just to anybody, any other group that thinks, who understand the struggle and the pain and the suffering of Amara, they can be a voice too. So we don't have issue with that. But I look forward to, hopefully everybody will be there. But thank you so much yourself, Getacho, and the team for giving us the opportunity. And so, yeah, and I think, as you mentioned earlier, we are more than ever before, we are coming together. And I think it's about time that's happening, because it's really refreshing to see. And I think from now we will continue to grow, we'll continue to work very closely together. I think unfortunately, I don't want to be negative or like I think because yeah, and ማንነት ሲነካ እኮ በጣም ያማለኝ and I think ራሳችን ማስከበር አለብን. We know who we are. I think historically አሁንም ወደ ኋላ አንልም. We'll continue to fight the fight, so and to help those on the ground as well. በጣም ነው የማመሰግነው እድሉን ስለሰጣችሁን አመሰግናለሁ።
በጣም እናመሰግናለን። ዘነበች ተበጀ ከሜልበርን አውስትራሊያ አብረሽን ስለቆየሽ ከማገር መገናኛ ጋር and please pass our condolence and prayer to those community members who lost their beloved one, and our thought and prayer will be with them. Thank you so much, Zanavich. We need you more and we'll get you more, so we will work together. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much.
ውድ የማገር መገናኛ ተከታታዮች በሙሉ የዕለቱን ዝግጅታችንን ከዘነበች ተበጀ ጋር በዚህ መንገድ አጠናቀናል። በሚቀጥለው ዝግጅታችን እስከምንገናኝ ድረስ መልካም ቀን፣ መልካም ምሽት፣ መልካም ማለዳ። Thank you.
Thank you.